and welcome back to another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. This is the show where I do quick reviews for the movies that I watch, give them a score out of 10, and then add them to my list. So let's see what movie we're reviewing today. On March 23rd, I watched The Lost World, Jurassic Park, which came out in 1997, and obviously should have been called Jurassic Park, The Lost World, but whatever. It was never going to live up to the amazing high standards set by the original, but it could have been a whole lot better than it was if it had just been shuffled into a slightly different order. I was surprised to see Steven Spielberg's name still attached to this one, because I figured, of all people, he would have been good and smart enough to see not only how bad some of the dinosaurs were starting to look, but how disjointed and confusing the whole movie would turn out to be. With one particular scene being cut in an extremely annoying fashion for me. It all centered around my favorite new character to the story, Roland Tembo, played by Pete Postlethwaite. He's on a mission to finally bag his biggest trophy yet, the mighty T-Rex. And he's just hit it with his first tranquilizer dart. The huge beast begins charging down on him. He starts to reload for his second shot, and suddenly we cut away, for what seemed like at least 10 minutes, before we eventually come back to see the huge dinosaur unconscious and being locked in a cage. Whoever is responsible for cutting the climactic T-Rex moment out of a Jurassic Park movie definitely deserves some blame. And it just has to land with Spielberg, which still boggles my mind, because his track record speaks for itself. This terrible cut is far from the only one, too. It's just the most glaring example. I even found myself distracted by poor lighting in Dr. Hammond's bedroom, which is one of those aspects of a film I should never notice, unless it's as distracting as that glowing door was. It seems like so many of the mistakes were correctable. I'm only left to assume Spielberg already knew the original was the film people were going to remember, so he wasn't as worried about this one. The hunter character of Roland was easily the most captivating part of the story for me, and he's sold in a very effective way as a man who could single-handedly hunt and kill a T-Rex. Sadly though, he's mostly just there for the B story, as the main story centers around Ian Malcolm. Back is the always awesome Jeff Goldblum trying to rescue his girlfriend Sarah, played by Julianne Moore, and his daughter Kelly, played by Vanessa Chester. Roland's character is almost too awesome for just the B story though, and in a way, he's actually more of a distraction, but he's also my favorite part of the movie, so I'd never want to see him cut out. I'd even be willing to center an entire movie around him if they were thinking of doing maybe a Turok video game movie. I can't imagine there's much of an important story to those games. And the CGI has gotten so good now, all you need is an interesting character like this, out hunting dinosaurs, and you know it'd sell. The main story, though, is ultimately very predictable, and it's presented in such a mishmash, confusing way that it becomes difficult to follow, and that tug-of-war for attention between the two stories definitely doesn't help either. I wish I could be more forgiving for how bad the dinosaurs looked here, but like those first few brave women to get boob jobs, someone had to be willing to jump on that grenade of bad technology and make an ugly-looking movie like this, before we could get to the amazing CGI that we have now. Underneath all the bad editing and early CGI, there's still a decent enough summer blockbuster here. It's just difficult to get to, and the shadow of that original masterpiece clearly loomed heavily over this one. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 10, and it landed at number 1,154 on my list, putting it right here, in between The Naked Gun 2.5 and Transformers. Thanks for watching another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. Be sure to click like and subscribe for new videos every week. And if you have a movie that you really want me to watch, be sure to drop me a comment.